Howdy everyone. So I wanted to bring you all back to a different era today, and it's one that I grew up in. The era of open world survival games. Now, I'm sure some of you might have gotten flashbacks from this era because it was honestly kind of an interesting time. Back when Minecraft was still in alpha, there were a bunch of people trying to hop onto the coattails of survival games, you know? Although when it comes to copying a trend, I feel like this time around there was actually a lot of creativity put into it. Like, maybe that's weird to say, especially considering a lot of trends that have happened like in recent memory. But when a new genre pops up, you can have a lot of kind of creative ideas flowing into it, you know, concepts, art styles, and new forms of gameplay that just haven't been tried. Well, sometimes. Back then, survival games were usually in survival horror genre, and to be honest, I can't really think of a survival game from before that era in the way that we have them now. I genuinely think that some gems came out of this era of indie survival gaming, both the shiny good gems and the poopy bad gems. But there are a couple games that had their brief spotlight that faded into the realm of forgotten games, some of them for good reason, but I want to pull out one of the cooler games and concept that's actually playable and super fun. Well, terms and conditions apply. Sir, you are being hunted. Apart from having an epic rap song made about it.
Don't dare break down. Don't be scared, we'll make town. Escape.
Why do they have a rap song at the end?
Was made by Big Robot and released in alpha back in 2013 and had a full release in 2014. Sir, You're Being Hunted isn't like its contemporaries when it comes to survival gameplay. We see a lot of survival games that don't really play around with what they have to offer very well. Instead, I feel like they all have their own like basic things that they just have because they have to have it because it's a survival game, you know, like base building and a thirst and hunger bar, and they kind of call it a day, resulting in some games feeling very samey. So You're Being Hunted does have a hunger bar, kinda, but the game is more focused on stealth. Your vitality, which is your hunger, is more used to force you into conflict, either by looting buildings or by hunting. You are sir or madam, respectfully, and you've been transported to a different dimension through experimenting with a machine. It's a kind of dimension that's like, it's like Terminator, but British. Specifically, a dimension where the world has been taken over by robots who hunt animals. Oh, and humans. Not a bad premise, all things considered. Even with how wacky it is, it can still be pretty tense. Of course, that's mostly carried by its atmosphere, something that I commend this game for. I don't want to stroke this game's dick too much, but I was reminded of Stalker consistently. Not from how similar it was, mind you, God no, but from how thick and juicy it could be at times. From the dense fog, the unique sounds each robot makes, even the music, which is very weird, but I do appreciate it. And don't get me wrong, this is a weird game, in more than just its style, but we'll get into that towards the end. The gameplay mostly consists of looting houses for tools, weapons, and food, using those to sustain yourself long enough to collect pieces of the machine to send you home. Without a specific item to find them, you kind of follow these little blue wisps to each part. There are 18 in total, counting the one that you get at the start, 5 at the center island, 1 you start on, and 3 on each of the 4 other islands, which can all be the same or different depending on how you want to generate your world. See? I'm good at math. Each is different not only in terms of its actual, like, geography, but they all bring their own respective vibes to them. The music especially fits these vibes. I don't know how they made a dude moaning fit with a beat, but it's great. What is this music?
You know what I love? I love when my music includes male moaning as a beat. It's fucking insane, and I'm listening to it right now in Sir, You're Being Hunted. what's happening right now. It's what's happening.
I kind of wish they would have made each area have their own respective music though, but maybe I'm asking too much from a game that isn't being developed anymore. The game also has a good art style, like gamers, dudes and dudettes, peeps and poops. Let's be honest with ourselves. Graphics are dumb. The issue that I see a lot is that games usually tend to go a more realistic art style than actually making a good one. Now I hate this vehemently. I'm currently working on a Dishonored vid, so I'll explain it more there, but to cut the story short, a good art style will always stand the test of time. I'm not going to say that you can't see the age in places, but this looks far better to me than this, because it plays to its strengths. They know they don't have the time or budget to put into giving humans pizza fuzz on their face, so they just make it look nice, bam, boom, easy, simple. It's a delight. It really astounds me that the indie scene has just kind of mastered this by using older styles to just win. Sir, You're Being Hunted has a nice art style, and that's all it needs. I don't give a fuck that there is fog hiding the render distance. I don't care that the polygon count on the gun isn't like, I don't know, a fucking billion. What is the poly count on most guns nowadays? I don't give a fuck, because the art style has served its purpose. And that purpose is that it's memorable and looks good and it fits the vibe. And that vibe is being hunted. You are being hunted. By the way, take a shot every single time I say vibe in this video. God, I'm terrible at writing scripts. Now, obviously, if they see you, they're gonna chase and shoot you, right? But it's not just their sight you gotta worry about, it's their ears as well. Hiding in the tall grass all day won't really do you any good if you startle some birds, or start a fire, or shoot some little guy in the forest. Don't worry, he deserved it. Remember, you're being tracked. Patrols start showing up everywhere. Sure, it might not look too crazy now, but when you start collecting parts, you'll run into dogs, balloons with spotlights, horse robots that are fucking bullshit, by the way. And is that Gru? Not to mention, these patrols get fucking insane further into the game you get. Like, I'm talking 10, 15 robots gathering to show off their freshly decapitated heads. This is a neat detail, by the way. The longer you play and more parts you collect, make these patrols increase in number. And before you say that you could just run away from them or fight them, you kinda can't. Relying on stealth is really the way to go here. You could start shooting every robot you see, and that might work at the start, but eventually you'll get overwhelmed. More likely, you'll run out of ammo first. Weapons can be rare, depending on your luck, and finding ammo for them can be even worse. But one should take caution when using them. A single gunshot can attract nearby robots. Guns are treated more as a last resort, or a means of hunting food. Hunted game needs to be cooked in a fire, and that fire will release smoke, so it will attract a lot of those filthy fucking clankers.
That was really bad.
Stealth is encouraged for most of the game, and even if it isn't as in-depth as something like Thief, because what is, you still need to be careful and not draw attention to yourself. At least that's how you're gonna thrive in this game. The robots, especially towards the end of the game, get overwhelming. Not to mention, you can't really save your game whenever you want. You can only save at these boats that you use to travel to other islands or other standing stones where you deposit your machine parts. This can make decisions tense and meaningful. Do I try to go for this part that's being heavily patrolled, or should I wait and go for another? This is what I mean when I say it's giving stalker vibes, because there are very few games that actually force you to make these kinds of decisions. Do I have the skill/equipment to engage the threat, or should I avoid it for now? I'm also very glad to add this to the very short list of actual stealth games, because there aren't nearly enough of these games out there. This is a proper stealth game. It encourages stealth and actively punishes you for not doing it. It's great. Sorry, Dishonored, this counts as a stealth game. You don't. Dishonored is, like, way better, though. Like, way better. Now, this sounds great, right? I mean, why aren't more people talking about this game? It sounds super fun. Yeah, here's the issue. The game isn't really finished, you know? Like, okay, technically speaking, it is finished in a 1.0 release kind of way. But the problem with this game kind of stems from it feeling like it's still in early access. Audio is one of the things that I noticed being kind of weird. Just some of the sound effects sound like they're placeholders, or they just aren't there at all. Like, okay, this might sound like such a small thing, like maybe even a nitpick, but you know what I love in Stalker and a lot of other games that provide a really good vibe? Rain. Rain is one of the coziest things to me. I love rain. When you are playing a game where you are mostly exploring, the vibes are so important. Think of playing a Fallout game, but without the music. That's what I'm getting at. So when rain kicks in and there's no sound to accompany it, it feels like my vibes are being cheated. Robots sound great, although some are way too loud. It's just a bit inconsistent and janky to some extent. I didn't have too many issues with the game in terms of glitches, although there was this one time where I saw nothing but the endless black void. That was weird. Not to mention the gameplay. Yeah, so remember when I was saying that the gameplay is fun? That's when it's working as intended. Even if you're terrible at stealth games, this one is pretty generous with how hidden you can be when there isn't anything around you. But then sometimes you should be hidden more, but aren't? Like, what's going on here? I'm in a bush. Let me hide in the bush. A lot of what you'll be doing is running through open fields, and although the maps are small, they still look far too open and empty, save for a few towns. Patrols aren't exactly hard to work around, since you can just kind of, you know, walk away. The other areas can be much better with this kind of thing, but you won't be spending much time in them unless you make all the areas similar to each other. Maybe I'm being a jerk, but it also feels like this game isn't worth its current price. Originally, I was going to have one of my friends from across the aisle play this with me, until I saw the price. Look, I enjoy this game. It's nostalgic for me since I watched the Yogscast and Jacksepticeye play it when I didn't have to pay taxes. I like the vibes, and it's nice to have another stealth game to add to the collection, but this game isn't worth $20. The company likely isn't coming back. They announced a remaster of this game a while ago, and it's been pretty quiet on that front. Although I haven't exactly been trying to keep up to date on everything that goes on with the studio, but I've heard that it's, well, it's not looking great. It's good fun, don't get me wrong, but like, wait till it's on sale, or just buy Thief if you're looking for a good stealth game. Actually, try Filcher. Filcher isn't too bad. This one's cool though, I can't deny it. There is something I've missed about this era of gaming. Yeah, everyone was chasing a trend, but it was done, I feel like, a lot better now. Nowadays, companies are shoving so much money into each project that they gaslight themselves into believing that it can't fail. In all my years of gaming, I can confidently say that the indie scene is just where it's been at, even with discarded games like this. Let's be honest, it's a lot better than, I don't know, fucking Suicide Squad. Anyways, that's all for now. Take care, gamers.